If it wasn't for the pizza tower, I'd have nothing. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony.
Yes, Jeff.
I would like to present to you a pretty heavy topic, if I may.
Okay. I'll allow it.
This was sent to us, as often happens, by
Yes, people do often send things to us.
They do. Post them on the Discord. This one was posted by our friend Cahoots, Jeff Engelstein.
Your friend Cahoots. That's why his nickname is Cahoots. It's your friend Cahoots.
Well, our friend.
Okay. I mean, we can say friend of the pod, but the reason his nickname is Cahoots is because he's your friend.
Well, that's true too. I like to think he's my friend. This is an amazing story. This is an article that was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences.
Oh, the penis is back.
I like to call it the penis. Penis.
Yep, they're back. Do you think that they ever regret it?
No, they gotta be high-fiving literally every time someone does that, right? That was the whole point. That wasn't an accident, you know?
Yeah.
These are scientists. These are smart people. They decided to be called penis for a reason.
I guess. Sometimes I think though that there was like one jokester in the bunch
that just pulled it over and nobody noticed.
Yeah, and the other ones just they weren't in that joke mode, and so they didn't really see it until later. Like sometimes that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, because Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences doesn't roll off the tongue, right? Proceedings is a weird word to use as the first one, right? You could have had a whole lot of things that mean penis is not an accident,
no.
You know? Anyway, this is about the weight of all the wild mammals on Earth.
Okay.
The literal weight of the biomass of every wild living mammal on Earth.
Oh, it's got to be at least 100 pounds.
Yes. Yeah, you're correct. It is greater than 100 pounds.
Oh, if you add the weight of every animal together, it's got to be at least 100 pounds.
It's true. It's true. There is a research group at the Weizmann Institute of Science, headed up by one Ron Milo.
So this is a penis study about whiz.
Yes. Thank you. You've summed it up.
Okay, go on.
Ron Milo published is the lead author on this study. He obviously had a team, quantitative biologist, who decided to quantify the weight of the biomass of all the wild animals on Earth. So my question to you right at the start, Anthony, is what do you think? We're talking wild animals. Okay, so this is not domesticated
humans.
Animals. Not humans, not domesticated animals, not cows, the wild species.
Oh, man.
Which do you think accounts for the largest percentage of weight on Earth?
Out of every animal?
Every wild animal. These are you've got elephants, you've got, there's all kinds of any wild animal species on the planet.
Are we talking? We're talking. Can I jump into?
We're not talking marine life. We're talking mammals, wild mammals.
Okay, we're talking mammals.
Not marine life. We're talking things that walk around on the surface of the Earth. Which species is the heaviest, cumulatively the heaviest mammal?
So your first instinct is to go big, right? You're going to think like, what are the heaviest animals that I can think of? You're going to think things like elephants. You're going to think things like, I don't know, bears and like, Kodiak bears and stuff.
Mm-hmm,
but I don't think that's the trick. I think the trick is population. And I think it's got to be in the rodent family. I think it's got to be something. I think we're talking about something like mice. We're talking about rats. We're talking about animals that exist by the billions that you don't see every day, where their weight adds up. So I'm going to say it's Oh, God. I'm going to say it's the rat.
That is a very good guess. I should have probably stipulated that they don't consider the rat a wild animal. They consider it urban rats. They consider to be an extension of humans. It's a hanger-on of humans.
Oh my God. That's just, you know what that's called? That's called an ecosystem, you idiots. How come I have to tell the scientists that?
They lump in rats, mice, rats, things that rely on human beings to survive, as they lump that in with cows and cattle and livestock, and they don't consider them wild animals because
okay. So what they want to know is they want to know what animal has the largest mass of any animal in the world, except for specific ones that they don't want me to answer.
well, it's a narrow definition of wild, but I can tell you that the answer to this accounts for almost 10% of the total biomass of all wild land mammals. So it's 10% of all wild land mammals is this one species. You want me to tell you?
Squirrel.
It is squirrel. No, it's not squirrel. But it's, I think, similarly surprising, at least it was to me. It is the white-tailed deer.
The white-tailed deer.
There are more deer. There are more, like, there's more mass of deer than any other wild animal on Earth.
Oh.
That's
crazy? Interesting. I think of deer as, and particularly white-tailed deer, I think of them as inhabiting such a small amount of the Earth.
Yeah.
Like they're really limited to specific continents. Like when you think about like a white-tailed deer, you're thinking of like a Bambi-style deer.
Right, exactly. Yes.
You're not thinking of like antelope or like weird shit that you see in like the Serengeti, where it's like, what's the name of the one that looks like I want to say its name is the Zubumafu, but that's a children's television show. Like a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they're really weird looking, where it's like their necks are covered in stripes and then their bodies are covered in spots and then their heads are green or some shit. Like when you're thinking about like the white-tailed deer, I particularly think of that as being northern hemisphere, you know, being limited to
in the Americas mostly.
In the Americas, you know, they do have deer obviously in Europe and Asia, but I think of it as being like limited to temperate climates.
Yeah, but there's enough of them and they're heavy enough that they account for 10% of all wild mammals. And this is up against, you know, elephants, boar, kangaroos, bears. Yeah. So there's more.
See, but when you list those, out of all of those, when you like, I think, okay, boars and bear, sure. Like there's a lot of them and they are stocky. But when you say something like a kangaroo or an elephant, well, like number one, we know the elephant's endangered.
Yeah, that's true too.
So there aren't many, like they're heavy, but there aren't many of them. They're heavy hitters, but you know, and then when you think of kangaroos, you're talking about one continent and they have lean body mass because they're made for fighting.
Exactly. You
ever seen the abs on a kangaroo when they flex?
They're chiseled. They're Adonises, those kangaroos.
There's nothing more off-putting than a kangaroo flexing. Like,
oh yeah, that's true.
You ever seen a TikTok of a kangaroo flexing?
Oh yeah, their shoulders and arms. It makes me embarrassed about myself.
Dude, a kangaroo when it gets mad looks like a dude from my hometown if you accidentally shoulder check his girlfriend in like a concert crowd. Yeah. You know? Like it doesn't matter to the kangaroo that you apologized. Like it does not matter.
It does not matter. No, it'll punch you right in the nose.
That kangaroo wants to push its shoulders forward and up just to let you know.
Yeah. And then it puts its girlfriend right in its pouch and runs away.
Yep, just bounces off.
They're like, you've seen that move that the professional wrestlers do where they like go, and they like push their shoulders forward.
Yeah, they shoulder roll it.
Yeah, like Hulk Hogan used to do, like,
or like, and when they flex and when they flex their abs, it's like, Did you read that article about like why do movie stars like look so ripped and look like they're flexing all the time? And it's like, well, because they're flexing all the time.
Right. Yes.
Like there was a personal trainer that was like, no, they're flexing all the time. Like when they do
they know when the camera's on.
Yeah, when they do the ab shot in the movie, there's a particular kind of flexing that you do. Like apparently your abs can flex two ways. Like they can flex up and they can flex down.
Oh, yeah. Well, mine can't.
I have no idea. I've never had an ab in my life. But I'll tell you this, like apparently the one that they do on camera is you flex down and it makes them look more natural for whatever reason, because they don't puff out as much. They go down and they go down and just become like lean and tight. And like kangaroos do like the opposite. They do like the big one.
The unnatural one.
Yeah.
Because all they care about is the gains, the sick gains.
That's what the roos are in for. The roos are for the gains.
Like to blast their lats.
Listen, there's nothing a roo likes to do more than blast its lats.
So the total biomass, as calculated by this team, of wild mammals, they estimate as being about 22 million tons.
Wow.
So the top 10 species, which
I can't even conceptualize that.
22 million tons. Well, it gets crazier, dude. So the top 10 species, which, you know, we've outlined as the white-tailed deer, elephants, kangaroos, boar, bears. The top 10 account for 40% of that amount. That 8.8 million tons just in the top 10 of species. Oof. And you think how many species there are on Earth? How many mammalian species there are on Earth?
Yeah.
The top 10 is 40% of all the biomass. That's bonkers. Bonkers.
It's just like we see throughout the rest of the world. It's an uneven distribution of power and wealth.
Yeah.
The white-tailed deer are sitting in their white-tailed tower.
That's right. Right.
And they refuse to share any of the biomass with anybody.
Getting heavier and heavier over time.
Listen. Have you seen the average white-tailed deer? They've gotten fat and lazy in their positions of power.
There's more white-tail to see than ever before, is what I'm saying.
My grandmother was like, I've got these white-tailed deer and they're eating my tomatoes in my vegetable garden. And I looked out her window to see what it looked like. And buddy, when I tell you that white-tailed deer was just dragging its stomach on the ground, that white-tailed deer was eating everybody's tomatoes and some candy bars. You know what I mean?
It's gotten so bad that they've turned those tomatoes into pasta sauce, and they're just carbo loading at this point.
They really are.
You know?
They really are. But this is interesting to me because we're constantly trying to control and protect the deer populations in a lot of places, particularly, with industrialization and as humans spread out and we build more suburbs and more neighborhoods and more cities and things like that. We're always hearing about how we're pushing the deer out and there are fewer and fewer deer. And so this is actually surprising to me in a little bit of a way because I think of them as very scarce in some ways.
Well, right. But there's more biomass of them than anybody else. So
maybe they should stop complaining.
Maybe they should stop complaining. Yeah. You know what?
Maybe it's okay that I'm building another Rite Aid because there are too many deer.
Shut up, Bambi. Hey, stop whining.
All the crying in the world isn't going to bring your mom back, dude.
Exactly.
So you might as well let us put up the Rite Aid.
So you went to rodents. Yes. I want to tell you that this is not counting the human-associated rats and mice, which is a huge thing to pull out of the mix.
Honestly, feels like cheating.
Yeah, well, we'll get to them in a second. But the rodents that are not human-associated rats and mice,
like those little ones that do the big hops. You know, the ones in the.
Well, I think that includes squirrels and like all kind of rodents and varmints and.
No, but you remember, the little ones that do the really big hops that are in like documentaries.
Oh, yeah.
And they look like Pokemon. They got long tails with little poofs at the end.
Called?
Is that just a kangaroo rat? It's not. It's a specific kind.
I know what that's called, but I can't think of it. Anyway.
But they got big ups, dude.
Yeah. Oh, they can fly. They don't skip leg day.
No.
Rodents that are not rats and mice, we already established the top 10 species are 40% of all the biomass. Rodents, 16% of the remaining biomass is just rodents. And carnivores?
Yeah.
Carnivores? What would you think? Would you think it'd be a high percentage or a low percentage of carnivores of the total biomass?
You're going to think that it's going to be a high percentage, right? Because they're on that high protein, making the gains. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But here's what we know about most carnivores. Number one, there are fewer of them because they're at the top of the chain. So they need more plentiful species underneath them. And number two, most carnivores like only eat when they absolutely need, and they spend most of their time just lollygagging about. So I'm going to say that herbivores are going to win this one.
To such an extreme degree, carnivores account for 3% of the total biomass of wild animals.
Yep.
3%.
And that's why you got to, and that's why you got to do meatless Mondays, everybody, to get those lean gains like a wild animal.
Lean gains. So this is all just land animals.
Yeah. Well, because the second you add a whale into anything, you're fucked.
Yeah. Well, so 22 million tons for wild land animals, marine mammals, not fish, marine mammals, 40 million tons.
Yeah, because you've got whales, you got dolphins, you got other whales. You put in one whale, you've got whales and other whales in there, Jeff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whales and then other whales.
And then other, you think about a whale.
The smaller whales that are still big.
But you put in like a sperm whale or a blue whale. You put one of those in and it's like,
boom.
It's just like a billion deer or something.
It's a lot of deer.
It's a lot of deer.
Yeah.
What's a whale weigh? Like, got to be at least 100 pounds.
It's definitely 100 pounds. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so we've established marine mammals, 40 million tons. We've established land mammals, 22 million tons. What's your guess about how much the total population of ants on Earth weighs?
See, now, if you had not said mammals, my answer was going to be ants. My answer for the number one most mass havingest population was going to be ants, because they run this fucking town. They run this town being the planet Earth. They run it. It's like when they tell you like about mycelium networks. It's like, oh, look at the little mushroom. No, that mushroom is connected to the entire Earth through an underground system that you could not possibly fathom. And ants are the same way.
Last of Us.
Yeah. I mean, look, do you know I still haven't watched a single episode of The Last of Us?
It's real good. I didn't even think I wanted to watch it, but it's real good. It's real good.
I know. I thought, like, I was thinking to myself, I can't do it right now. I was thinking to myself, I'm not in a place where I can do it. And then everybody was like, no, you can do it.
I had that exact same thought. I'm like, I don't want to put myself through this. It's worth it. It's real good.
Although I have some friends that do like weekly watch parties and they're like, catch up and watch this. I was like, okay, if I didn't think I had the emotional wherewithal to do one episode a week, you want me to do 6 hours of it right before I come over to do a 7th hour? Absolutely not. There's a medication shortage in the United States right now. I can't do that. But ants. I was going to say, like, ants are a similar kind of thing where, like, once you go underground, the ant owns the planet.
Oh, that's absolutely the case. Yeah, it's
hard to wrap your head around.
It's hard to wrap your head around how many ants there are.
There are at least, there are at least 500 ants.
At least there's at least one ant for every whale.
Maybe 2.
All right, so we got 22 million land mammals. 22 million tons, of land mammal. 40 million tons of marine mammal. How many tons of ants?
100 million.
Close. 80 million tons of ants. So that's double the marine mammal life in ants. That's a lot of ants, dude.
That's ants.
That's a lot of ants.
That's a great number of ants.
Yeah.
And so when they have an estimate of the mass, that means they must have an estimate of the number, right?
Well, it's not in this article, but they might. I don't know.
But they might.
I mean, if you could just do the math of like what's the average weight of an ant, and then
what's a hen weigh?
Yeah, exactly. What's a hen weigh? So we've got ants, 80 million, marine mammals, 40 million, wild land mammals, 22 million. We've arrived at humans. What do you think the total biomass of humans, the weight of all the humans on Earth is?
Well, we know the population, and we know the average weight. So we're looking at what? What are we at now? 9 billion? We're at something like
8. I think we're at 8. Yeah.
We're at 8. We're at 8 billion times. I'm going to average it to 150 pounds. So we're at 9 billion times 150, which means we're crushing everyone, including ants. Am I reading this correctly?
But then you got to translate pounds to tons. The 2,000 pounds to a ton, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But I still think, I think we're somewhere in between land mammals and ants.
You think we're less than ants?
I think we might be less than ants.
Okay. Ants is 80 million tons. Humans, 390 million tons. 390 million.
See, I initially thought we were at the top, and then you tried to make me feel bad about my math on purpose. And I redid my estimate because you tried to make me feel bad. Between you and these fucking penis people, everybody's trying to like change the rules on me and make me feel bad when my instincts are correct.
So we get 390 million tons of humans compared to 22 million tons of wildlife. That's just
USA. We're number one. We're number one.
We're crushing the wildlife every day,
we're crushing everything. We're literally crushing everything. Yeah. That's too many tons of us.
That's a lot of tons of us. Okay.
The Tons of Us. Have you ever watched The Tons of Us?
The Tons of Us. It's a heartwarming. I cry every episode.
It's honestly, it's a prequel to The Last of Us. And can I tell you something? Honestly, kind of boring. It's just about a guy who like goes to work and has a family and is doing pretty okay.
Yeah. I was doing you went to Last of Us, which makes sense because we were already talking about that. But I went to This Is Us. This is the Tons of Us. Just a heartwarming, sad story about a family.
Mandy Moore, I'm telling you. You wouldn't think that she's got the chops, but then I watched her in This Is the Tons of Us. And it was a heartwarming tale of a family trying to live in a small house with 10,000 other families over multiple generations.
It's so much better than the earlier 80s sitcom version, Just the Tons of Us.
Just the Tons of Us, which is the other place I went, which is about a gym coach who's a dad. This is just the story of just the 10 of us. Yeah. But okay.
Okay, so now we've got humans, 390 million tons. Now I want you to think about livestock, urban rats and mice lumped together, all of the creatures that only exist
mass hysteria
because human beings exist. These are not wild animals. These are mammals that exist as a symptom of human beings.
Now, Jeff, it's entirely possible that you've gotten to the thesis statement of your article. I think we've gotten to the lesson that you're trying to teach us here today. Mm-hmm, and so I'm going to say, Jeff, that there's probably, if there are 390 million tons of us is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to say that we've created at least 500 million tons of support chow.
You are correct, but still low. 630 million tons.
That's animals that we create just to be destroyed by us, and the animals that live off of our scraps that we leave when we eat those animals we created.
The article calls them hangers on. These are creatures that only exist as an offshoot of human beings' existence.
So they don't have rats and mice separately as a number.
No, they have rats
Cowards.
and mice. Yeah, with livestock.
Cowards.
Yeah.
But no, it makes sense that they're putting that together now that I understand what they're trying to say. So we have really, this is either very cool or very frightening, depending on what position you want to take. We run this bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. We are
this bitch being the planet Earth into the ground.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, we already know this, right? Because I mean, we talk about things like chicken. Like, I think most people know, if they pay attention, that chickens and cows, those just exist because we wish it so, for the most part. You know, like the chicken population, ridiculous.
Well, check this out. So it does break down a little bit of this 630 million ton number. So cows alone, just cows, 420 million tons. Do you want to guess how much just the domesticated dog weighs? Just the amount of dogs that we as human beings have in our homes.
Hundo mil.
No, it's not. It's not as much. It's exactly the amount as much as there is wild land mammals. So it's 22 million. So basically, all of the wild land mammals on Earth equal just the dogs that we hang out with.
Oh, our special boys. We've made a safe space for our special boys. They're out there. They're trying to live. There are only 22 million tons of them at any given time because it's a struggle. It's a struggle out there. But for our special boys are equal to or more powerful than them because we wish it to be.
We wish it to be. Now, I think there's not a more powerful statement to me than that. Than the idea that all of the wildlife, all the wild mammals that are surviving on this planet on their own, exactly the amount of the things that we're just like, it's nice to have that around. Just nice to have that in my house.
Listen,
you know, wow.
It's dope to be at the top of the food chain. You know what I mean? It's dope to be the species that's running stuff because we are changing this entire planet into exactly what we want. And we know
quite literally throwing our weight around, Anthony.
Oh, I love it. Because we know what we're doing to topology and you know, the environment itself, the non-sentient, non-living, non-animal environment. We know what we're doing to it, right? We know that. We see it every day. We don't think about what we're doing on this level. We are reshaping the entire ecology.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, like, on one level, it's dope to think that we can do that. On another level, it's like, yikes.
Yikes. Well, I think the whole point of this study, as you surmised, is yikes, right? Yikes is what we're supposed to take away from it, is like when you quantify it in this way, which is what our friend Milo and his team are trying to put out there, is like when you quantify it, when you can look at these numbers, maybe we can realize just the impact that we are having as human beings on the planet. I want to tell you about house cats, because we talked about dogs, 22 million. Biomass of house cats, a lot less, but there are still double that of elephants and 4 times that of a moose. So there's 4 times as many weight of house cats as there are weight of moose. And
you know what's funny about that statement? Do you know what's funny about that statement is, like, I have some idea of the population of elephants and what an elephant weighs. You know what I mean? Because we're told elephants are they're special boys, right? Like we're told, like, the elephant, we've got to protect the elephant. There are only a few thousand elephant left. We got to make sure the elephant, and they weigh so much, they weigh tons, and like you can see how big they are and blah, blah. I don't fucking know about a moose. I don't think about a moose. When you tell me that there are twice as many, like the weight of cats on Earth is twice as much as the weight of elephants, I go, okay, I can sort of picture that. When you say, imagine 4 times the amount of moose. Okay.
Well, that's
All
for
right.
the Canadians in our audience. You know,
What is
they have much
how many
more.
moose are there? At least 100, right?
It's a lot of mises. Yeah.
At least 100
All right.
moose, I would imagine.
So I want to tell you about how they came to this determination, which I think is interesting. But
Tiny
also,
weigh stations.
tiny little weigh stations. It was a very long project weighing each individual ant.
Yeah,
And,
they would put tiny weigh stations in high traffic areas for each species and count them as they passed.
This also comes on the heels. The same team in 2018 put out 2020 put out a study about the total weight. They're very into weight. This team, I love these folks.
They need to let that go.
Well,
honestly,
just the weight obsession. You gotta,
come on.
Mental health.
As long as what's important is that you feel good, the deer feel good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we should be planet body positive.
Exactly. I'm obviously consult with your physician, but it doesn't matter, guys. Let it go.
So in 2020, they put out a paper. I believe they published it right there on the PNAS, outlining the global weight of all human-made objects and infrastructure.
Whoa!
Yeah. So the mass of everything we've ever made, buildings, roads, cars, everything we manufacture, all of it, how much does it weigh?
And?
As of 2020, give or take 6 years, because it's an estimation, but give or take 6 years, the amount of weight of just the crap that we have made exceeds all of the living biomass on Earth. So that means
number one.
Every tree, every shrub, every bird, everything that is biology.
Think about everything we've never made.
Exactly.
And then everything we've made. And
so
we
give or
win.
take 6 years, 2020 is the moment where all of Earth's living biomass doesn't weigh as much as the shit that we have made.
And that number is?
That number is, where is it?
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, here it is. Wait for it.
We're leaving you time to guess at home.
Yeah, we're leaving. That's right.
I'm going to add, don't worry, I'll add like a drum roll in post.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. Never added anything in post in my life.
1,100 billion tons.
1,100 billion tons. That's how much stuff we've made.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But you were going to get into
1,100 billion tons. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We did it. Here's what's cool about that, Jeff, is a lot of that stuff is not biodegradable.
Yes.
That's what's super cool is so we not only did we make it, we made it forever. Take that, animals. Now
they said the mass of plastic alone, just plastic,
as a
single material, is double that of all animals.
That's right.
All animals. That's all animals. We're not talking about the wild land mammals that we were focused on before. We're talking about all animals.
That's right.
We have double the weight in plastic that we've made.
Do you know what's fun is a lot of that plastic is going to be toy/robot animals. That's what's really
fun.
The
irony. That's the ironic. That's the fun irony twist.
Yeah, like how many of those did you ever hear about how popular the in the 80s there was a very popular Garfield plush that would stick to your car window. It had suction cups on its hand.
Yes.
It was everywhere. It was the most popular. It was literally the most popular selling toy in the United States, I think, for 5 years running. And the only reason it stopped being so is because Jim Davis pulled it off the market because he was like, if we keep selling this, Garfield's going to become a fad and I need Garfield to last forever. This is my empire. So he willingly, he forced them to pull it off the market when it was the most popular object on Earth. Imagine how much of the weight of things that we've made is Garfield tchotchkes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's just flying in the face of all actual animals. The fat, lazy cartoon cat that we invented.
We feed him lasagna, which requires livestock. We have domesticated fake animals in service to the fake cat. Now,
that's right.
So we're talking about 1,100 billion tons of man-made stuff, a lot of it being Garfield merchandise. Yeah. You were going to tell us how they come up with these numbers, which I think is fast, because how do you do it? How do you estimate the weight of ants?
Well, let me just close the book on this.
We can't even know the population of ants, really.
Right, we can't, and this is all estimated, but it's going to be it's fascinating how they did it. But let me just close the book on this point first.
Okay.
So,
is this another Garfield fact? Because I really only want another Garfield fact.
It really is. It's all Garfield from now on. For the rest of the episode, it's just Garfield.
Thank you.
So we have exceeded Earth's total biomass in man-made stuff as of 2020. Now, they say give or take 6 years, and they say the timing of that transition hinges on whether biomass is tallied with or without water. They haven't decided if water counts, but if water is included, biomass will remain longer than human materials until about 2037. So all the weight of all the water on Earth, we'll pass that in just 20 years.
Listen, here's what I'll say. You can add water now, but here's what you have to do. You have to separate it into clean water and water that we've ruined. And if you do that, I bet we still win today.
Yeah, the water that's more plastic than water.
Yeah. Any water that's at least a percentage plastic, we own. That's us. That's man-made. That's like the rats. You can't tell me that water isn't like water adjacent / hangers on. If they get to make the rules, then I get to force them to stick to these rules.
Got to stick to the rules.
You got to stick to the rules.
So as of 2020, give or take 6 years, all of the living biomass on Earth, every single thing that's alive on Earth, plant, fungi, doesn't matter, animal, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We have exceeded it, right? Or we equal to or exceed it. Okay.
Good.
In 1900,
yeah,
120 years ago,
yeah,
the percentage of human materials on Earth of the total organic biomass on Earth, 3%.
Yeah, because we've
gone from 3% to 100% in a century and a couple of decades.
Look, we only got smart. You can ask anybody, and they'll tell you the same thing. We only got smart during the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah,
we weren't smart until we had factories, and anybody will tell you that. And
we fucked this planet so fast.
Yeah,
so fast.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
We win, Jeff. We win. We did it.
This is an argument for the Anthropocene. They call it the age of where humans just, that is, the planet is defined by human fuckery.
Yeah. Welcome to the era of human fuckery, white-tailed deer.
That's right.
We're putting up listen, we're building more Rite Aids than you could ever think of. We've got more CVS's coming than you run as. Listen, I understand you're fast animals. Listen to me. I'm talking to every white-tailed deer out there. You're nimble. You're nimble.
Yeah.
But we're quicker.
White-tailed deer.
We're quicker.
We are.
You're faster, but we're smarter. And we're smarter in some ways. We're extremely dumb, and we will get you.
Yeah. We're going to stamp you out. You just watch.
Just watch, idiots.
Since 1900, the mass of human materials has doubled every 20 years.
Good.
That's exponential growth, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. That's what we call Moore's Law of human fuckery. Once every 20 years, we will double fuck the planet. That's Moore's Law of human fuckery. And here's what I'll tell you. That law has no upper limit. We will continue double fuckery on this world. Mark my words. White-tailed deer, I'm speaking to you as the official emissary of humankind.
It's coming. We're coming.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, get wrecked. Ants, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Hold on.
Enjoy your time in the sun, ants, even though you are mostly subterranean.
Exactly.
Enjoy your time underground. Because here's the thing. We'll start digging for you. We'll get you.
That's right. There will be no underground if there's no surface, right?
That's right. Once we screw up the surface, we're going down. We're coming down to where you are.
Coming down for you. So let me tell you about how this was come to, because I think this is fascinating. This is Ron Milo's lab. In order to set out to find, we're back to our wild land mammal number. In order to find that global number, they actually had access to data, hard science, measured data on the global number, body weight, range, measurements of 392 wild mammal species. There is data to be found. People have measured these things in 392 mammal species. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is, so they start there. They start with this hard data that has been measured that people.
But how has it been measured? That's the thing. Is like that's what I'm wondering. Like, well,
I don't know how you get there is a global number of 392 species, and then their average body weight, and so you can sort of make those calculations. So we know the populations of 392 wild mammal species.
Okay.
The problem is
feels like Ron Milo is just sort of glossing that over, but all right.
Yeah. Well, the problem is there's 4,400 additional mammal species that they don't have hard data for.
Okay.
And you need to add that into your biomass number.
Sure.
So what they did was they used the data of half the 392 species to train a machine learning system.
No. Because here's the thing. I've seen machine learning. I've seen what it does. It can't even get the number of fingies right on a human.
You've been calculating fingies in your spare time?
It can't calculate fingies. I've seen the AI art. You say, hey, AI art, give me a human. It's like, okay, here's a human. And it's like 83 fingies. And then maybe a smaller third that comes out of its neck, and that's got fingies. And it's like, okay, well, how many teeth does a human have, AI? And it's like, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 300.
Well, they didn't ask it to make art of these species. They just asked it to, calculate their biomass.
Okay. Calculate the fingies, and then we'll talk.
So they fed this machine learning system whatever data they could find, ranges, body sizes, abundance, diets.
1,000 hours of Olive Garden commercials.
All of it. Everything they could get to. The entire oeuvre of Ronald Dahl. You don't know what you might need in there.
Yeah.
4,400 additional mammal species to get their estimate, their biomass in abundance. So this is an estimate. I mean, this is using machine learning to kind of extrapolate from the actual hard data we have on half of the 392 we know, and extrapolate that based on sort of general observations we've made about population and abundance and availability of food.
They did note that this is with a plus or minus 70% margin of error.
But I think it gives you a general sense of it, right? It gives yeah.
Sure. I'll guess how many animals there are too. Why not? Feed me the hard data. I'll guess.
This has been peer reviewed, and people say, there's a lot of uncertainty in all of this, but it's the closest we've ever been able to come to a number that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, before we ever thought about where maggots really come from, we were like, well, we see them on meat, so they must be born of meat. Do you know what I mean? That's what we did with the data we had at the time.
It's true. I still think it's a powerful notion, because I think the numbers themselves.
Do they think, here's what I'll ask you before we state why this is a powerful notion. Do they think that this AI overestimated or underestimated? Did they err on the side of caution, or do they think that or did they let it go buck wild?
Well, they don't go into that, but they're trying to zero in on what they're trying to focus in on what they think is the most accurate based on the information that they have.
Sure.
The idea here is that it's not even the exact numbers might be off, but the relative comparison between these groups is accurate, right?
So what they're saying is they believe that the AI or the machine learning or whatever kind of erred on the side of caution. They're saying that this feels like a realistic proportion.
Yeah, proportionally, it makes sense. And that's really what they're looking for. They're trying to give a snapshot of the state of mammals on Earth and show where we think that wildlife is abundant and ubiquitous and I think the world is teeming with life. And you compare that to just the amount of cows that we have in pastures, it dwarfs that, right?
Hey, so that's still life, and we're still teeming with it because we choose it.
I guess.
The Earth is allowed to teem with life because we wish it, Jeffrey. We'll decide when the Earth is done teeming with life. Actually, we probably won't consciously decide. It'll probably sneak up on us, but we know that we're heading that way.
The problem is when we say teeming with life, we mean be on our team.
Yeah.
Or you don't have life.
There is no life in team, is what we're saying.
That's right. Anyway, I think this is cool. They talk about how, this may not move the needle on conservation efforts, but the quote here from the team, Milo's team, is we can only conserve what we understand, and we can only truly understand what we can quantify.
That is actually very fair. We talk about this a lot where it's like, you ever see like there was a video that came up on my TikTok the other day of a little girl who found out that chicken nuggets come from chicken. She was sitting at a table while her parents were like, yeah, those are chickens out there. That's where chicken nuggets come from. And the look on the girl's face, like she knew that there were chickens and she knew that there were chicken nuggets, but it did not occur to her. Do you know what I mean? And like,
oh yeah, I have children. I'm waiting for that moment.
Yeah. And
there's a lovely disassociation that happens of like the food I eat and the adorable animals that I'm learning about, and never the twain shall meet.
Right. And even on an adult level, we talk about, you go in and when you see meat, it's in cubes. When you see fish, it's in slabs. You know what I mean? So you don't really think about it. And the average person, I don't think thinks about, well, how many species are there on Earth and how many of them are there and how does it all, we have a basic idea of environmental science and how it all interacts. But I think that's a very powerful point to make, is like, we don't really try to quantify. It's like when I'm like, I have no idea how many moose there are. Like, we don't try to quantify these things.
Right.
We are that removed and sort of divorced from having to think about it. So I think it is. I wish they'd use a computer that could draw fingies, but I get what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
I think this is amazing. I love, and we've talked about this a lot over the course of this podcast, but I love the measuring of things and understanding, like, oh my gosh, here's a number we put on, it puts it in perspective for me.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it really does.
The idea that we've created more cows than there are of like literally anything else.
Yeah.
That's
more biomass of cow. That is just bonkers. It's just the amount of just weight of cows.
I'll go ahead and tell y'all that's too many cow.
That's a lot of cows.
We can pull back on the number of cow.
Yeah. So I think our message is everybody eat more cows so we can reduce the number. Eat more beef so we can reduce the number of cows on Earth.
No, that logically tracks. No, that tracks. I think, we just need to eat them faster so there are fewer of them.
Yeah.
And that's how
so
we
get to work, everybody.
That's how we achieve balance in the ecosystem again, is by ravaging our way through it. Have we learned nothing?
I, as any true American knows, the answer to all questions is consume.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of which, have you given us money lately?
Please do. Please consider it.
Please, it would be lovely of you to consider giving us money. If you want to do so, we'll gladly give you some stuff in return. For just $1 a month, you can come hang out in our community Discord, where we have all kinds of wonderful discussions, share science stories, what's going on in our lives, all kinds of great places. For a little bit more money a month, you get a little bit more, like extra episodes, bonus videos, even early episodes, so you can lord your position in the white-tailed tower over everybody else.
It's just the way of things. check it out. You can see all those cool tiers and find out how you can become a patron of our podcast at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Did this story also make you hungry for chicken nuggets, or was that just me?
Oh, no. That little girl, when you talked about the little girl, I was like, give me some chicken nugs.
We will never learn anything as a species.